and welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Songs of Six. As I said last time, we're going to wait until YouTube catches up to the first part to give us an idea of what industry we should focus on. If you're watching on Twitch and you want to leave a comment as to what to do, feel free to post that as well. In the meantime, I'm thinking we're going to want to work towards potentially getting some more, getting some of that innovation, which is the laboratory. As you see, that's going to have an ongoing cost, and that's a good way to think about the construction costs, right? The construction costs are ongoing costs. That's going to have an ongoing cost of furniture. So probably the next industry you should work on is furniture, besides just general amenities to keep people moving into town. So let's go ahead, we'll get another food stall, much like we've got over there as well. Other way around. So that'll serve another 60-something people, which is kind of what we're looking for. We haven't had any problems yet with speaker, well, and hearth. Anyway, I think the next thing we probably want to do industry-wise is we want to go get supporting industries, and probably actually the industry for carpentry. Alright, so carpentry, by default takes wood and makes furniture. It's got some other things you can set it to. We could use it to make weapons that we don't have locked. If we had makeshift weapons, we could use... Or if we had stone with makeshift weapons, we're going to use it to make a type of weapon. A couple different things in there, right? Got a couple different locked recipes in there. Nothing that we're necessarily needing to rush to, I think. The main one here is furniture, which is probably what we're going to set it to, which costs stone and wood. And then it's going to have an ongoing wood cost to make the furniture, in addition to the maintenance of the building. So let's set that up on this side over here. I'll leave a little bit of space so that we have access to the ore there. Maybe do something like that. With a pillar in the middle. It's going to need storage, but let's get the workbenches in first. Okay. So that employ 19 workers, and then I'll want some storage. Honestly, we're close enough to other storage. I'm not giving it a particularly large personal storage. Make it 20. Yeah, we'll just make it around 20. And then we'll give it a couple doors so people can get in and out reasonably. And obviously, we're gonna, as soon as this gets built, we're gonna turn down the number of people working there. But I'll let that get built. Let those get built. We'll also queue up some roads. Because in theory, our people do like having access to roads. And then we'll probably go back to expanding the fisheries. Okay, so I have a shortage of stone, so I need to go out and find some stone for them to harvest. Clear rock. Clear the rock nearby to start with. Rock at least is pretty stable from a storage standpoint, so I'm not too worried about over-harvesting it and having it sit in the storeroom. Okay, so the carpenter's done. For the moment, I'm going to set it really, really low, and like 1 carpenter, 2 carpenter, because we don't need a lot of furniture yet. We do want it coming in, and furniture does, again, reasonably keep. We lose 1% of furniture in stockpile. In the meantime, this is going to eat 2 wood per worker to make 1 furniture. Right, that's what the recipe does here. Well, 2 to make half a furniture, right? So 2 to half. So that means ideally we want enough lumber production if we had everyone working on lumber production for the stuff I'm not micromanaging to operate and make about 40 lumber reliably. On the woodcutter, each of these is in theory making 8 before modifiers. Oh, that's without auxiliaries either, so... so that means it's at operating 50%, so if I give you auxiliaries... Okay, so it's 16 each. So every woodcutter base is going to support about 8 carpenters, so don't necessarily need a lot of these. Oh no, it's 4 each. The workers here is 4, it's going to produce 16. Okay, that math's a bit more. You notice this also consumes furniture, so we do have a little bit of chicken and the egg problem trying to get this set up. So it's 4, so every worker here supports 2 of the lumberjacks, so that means I need 10 workers of space. So let's look at something like that. We are going to need a little bit more auxiliary. And a storage. Like so. And that's part of the reason we built the furniture maker first, because the furniture maker is going to make the furniture we need to get the wood construction going. And then this, as long as we manage it so we have the worker balance between these two, we shouldn't have to worry about generating enough wood to keep the furniture maker going. It still may need to clear cut for various other industries to have the lumber on board. But that's kind of the plan. I was complaining because we're both... might actually be both short on stone and furniture. So let's go gather some more stone. Yeah, the nearby stone has already apparently been harvested and used. Oh, that's diamonds. Okay, so at some point we're gonna have to disable that fishery because if we want those diamonds. So we've got an ore deposit there. We've got stone way down there. Stone, clay. Other than, I suppose, the clay, most of these are not going to be particularly rich deposits either. So I'm not expecting necessarily to want to do mining on this map. But if we want to do gems, there's our gem deposit. Just put a fishery on top of. Okay, so that's enough furniture in theory to operate that. At some point we may also want to do fabric, because you can see the fishery upgrades require fabric. A little low in wood. I'm going to do a little bit of clear cutting of our forests here. We can always wait for it to grow back, or put a carpenter or lumberjack over the top of it, but that's a one-off influx of wood if I do it that way. So I got 30 odd jobbers. I suppose I can go look at here to quickly check how many we have on that particular industry. So we've got 41 on fisheries. What's the food balance of 41 on industries? Right now, in theory, they're making 71 fish per day. And okay, we got people consuming eggs too. In fact, they're mostly consuming the eggs. But yeah, I think our people are eating about 40, so we should have adequate food. We want to stay on top of that. The eggs are a temporary source. You know, let's turn up the carpenter a bit. Let's look at this more furniture coming in, which will mean we'll get the woodcutter going faster. Or the furniture has been delivered. And again, furniture is the hold up here, construction-wise. At some point, we'll probably want to do the hatchery. But then, obviously, again, you can see that requires cloth. We're not really set up to do cloth right now. Right, because that turns cotton into cloth. I suppose we could go gather some cotton, or we could set up a cotton field or something, but... Eight of the 11 has been delivered. I think that was good farmland, if I remember correctly. Oh, yeah, some of that's fucking reasonable farmland. One of the reasons we put the pasture on top of it. Not the best soil, but all right for agriculture. The void nutrients can hardly be cultivated. Okay. And then we got a really good farm over here. Here we go. So that's chopping down. You're making furniture. They're now quickly getting the lumber woodcutters going. I'll need to remember that I can turn this down to 5, because really we only need 5 to support our current 10 woodcutters. turn you down to 5. That'll support the woodcutters. Still got 17 people available for other jobs. I think I'm gonna make the decision. Do I want to get the graves going? Graves in the stage going? I think the answer is yes. Okay, let's get a basic graveyard and some entertainment going. And we'll probably go for population growth. Oh, and these are shrines, so we can probably afford a shrine. A temple is probably too expensive. We haven't unlocked them anyway. Afterlife graveyard. Doesn't necessarily need to be a very big graveyard, because, well, for the moment, we don't have any dead people. Although, okay, I can see what's going on here. We do require 1 employee to manage the place. I put it out over here then. Because we want it big enough that we can at least warrant that employee's employee's time, let's say. Okay. So again, that's going to cost more stone, so we're going to have to go mine more stone. But that'll employ 1 employee, provides graves for a quarter of the town if a quarter of the town dies, which hopefully doesn't happen. And has adequate respect. So they should appreciate that the graves exist once they exist. There's a little bit of rock out on the island, and we'll go ahead and designate for collection. And we'll collect the rock over here as well. Let time pass. Get that done. We've got 17 odd jobbers, so they can opt to it. And we got 32 days of food storage, so we definitely, because of the Globden egg diplomacy that we had suffered here, we've got plenty of food. I'm not even sure we have all the eggs stored right now. In fact, I've got the crates. I'll put more storage for eggs. We'll see if more gets stored. Yeah, looks like that might be all the eggs. So we got 467 eggs left. I may reduce the storage for that as it goes down. Okay, all the stone, all the wood got delivered for the graveyard, so that's good to see. And then we'll get the entertainment building up. Closer to town. Entertainment. Stage. Oh, and the entertainment is really big. Okay. Although it does, in theory, entertain up to 847 people this first level, so... Oh, it does take some furniture. That's fine, we've got some furniture, so that's not a problem. Okay. Yeah, let's think about that shrine as well. Again, Krator is 2/3 of the city, so we'll do a Krator shrine. Okay, so it's telling me how many people worship there at a given time. I assume we can probably get away with a fairly small one, if I were to guess. Because I assume that not everyone who worships is going to want to come and worship at the exact same time. So I'm just going to say where I want to put it. You know, that's a little bit of sand there. We'll put it there. And then we'll go for another bit of population expansion and fishery expansion. Stream temperatures. Make sure those away from the cool down. That's fine. We're prepared for that. They've got the well, or they can go into the river. We're pretty close to the river. I suppose not all your maps would be on a river, so you might not always have a river to cool down in. You might need plenty of wells. I suspect that my poor well here with only 4 services is probably not enough to keep everyone cold if we did not have a river for them to go take a dip in. Okay, so that'll make most of our people happy. And again, the shrine here doesn't actually use anybody, although upgrading it does apparently cost a lot of furniture. 168 furniture is what it says. And you have upgrades, which again is furniture and some very fancy stone. Fancy stuff. Most of these to upgrade. And in some cases, actually a tech requirement. Okay, so let's go ahead and build up more housing. So I'm going to move you across the way. Control left click, yeah. Oh, actually, it's, I'll be able to work with this, this is fine. So I'll provide housing for another 40 people, and the eatery services for them. Then we'll let another 40 people in, and then expand the fisheries. And then once we probably have the fisheries built out, I'll probably look into building a laboratory. So we have research or innovation points is what they're called. Innovation points, yeah. Okay, almost got the housing done. There we go. So let's, again, we're gonna tell our people the new auto limit is bigger. We're gonna go up to 120. And we're going to authorize the arrival, all the people who are waiting. And then we're going to get some fisheries going on the islands out here. That would have 13 people working, which doesn't sound too bad. And I'm going to undesignate, like, the middle of the island, so we can put something like a janitor there. Yeah, undesignate a little bit of like that. Not sure what I'm going to put there. Could put storage there, for example. But yeah, I think that'll work. Employees, 13 people. Adequate deep sea access. There we go. Get that built. Looks like it's cleared, so now it's just delivery of lumber, which we should have plenty of. You can see the lumber suddenly going down. That's probably all the people getting to the warehouse to pick up the lumber. We've got one warehouse guy whose job is to go pick and deliver, I suppose. One delivery man. Although, probably most of what he's doing is grabbing stuff out in the ground from the clear cutting, when we do clear cutting. Yours has become sick. Sickness is tied to your subject's health in the early game. There's not much you can do about it except for keeping the city clean. Yeah. Or very well fed. We don't have extra rations turned on, we just have, like, basic rations. There we go. That employs 13 people. Probably do want a little bit more food production. So let's look into getting a little bit more aquaculture on these islands. that's not going to work because these are all islands. Okay. I have to do them as separate little aquaculture areas. Okay. That's it. Shift left click, spawn, and oh, click to mill it. Okay. Okay, so that's like 1. Fair enough. Of course, doesn't need very many services. Start a little bit in the middle of the island there. Queue you up. That's 4. And going to clear out a bit in the middle here. So we can maybe have like a little bit of a road going through the bit to the left. Like so. And put torches and stuff, decorations in the middle. These little islands are probably not worth farming, but fishing, but I'm going to fish them. Because I can. It's not always a good reason to do something, but it's the reason I'm doing. Let this build, and then we'll see what the fishing effectiveness is. I should probably get another janitor over closer to that. We now employ over 50 in our fisheries. As a result, the combined experience is boosting performance. That's one reason why I'm getting a little bit like, yeah, let's focus on... Why is it not copying the walls? Oh, it is copying the walls. That's probably a fine place for it to be for the moment. Yeah, current janitor doesn't quite cover all our stuff, because we're splayed out along the coastline. Covers everything but a little bit of that fishing area, gets out to there. This one should do the island area and everything out to the edge of the map on that end. Yep, those little fisheries are going and working. They're making 108 food, which is maybe a little bit less than I'm thinking we really want to feed our 120 people, but it should be enough to feed the 120 people. More than enough to feed the people, so should worry less for the moment. You know, let's take a quick look at what the effectiveness is from education. So experience. We're getting 0.01. Not a big buff, although that is times all the workers that we have in the fishery industry. Which, if we go look, the easiest way for me to get a total sum I find is to come down here. We got 62 in the fishery. So every fisherman is providing an additional 100th of a fish, because we have 62 fishermen in the fishing industry. So collectively they're providing like 0.62 fish additional. And that's before multipliers. Our guys are like 25% better at fishing, so 25% more than that is being provided as well. I think the next industry we should get going is the laboratory, design-wise. That is admin? Admin. put a pillar in the middle. Laboratory is pretty nice. It has no requirements as far as it's got one building, one substructure in the thing. Got a 2 in there with that shape. Want to modify it a bit? Let's modify it a bit. Oh, I should put the speed fairly low. I'm not sort of actively playing for the moment, because we're working on in the laboratory instead. We've awkwardly got it a little bit shaped that I can't quite put the double wide necessarily anywhere. Okay, so that'll work 50 people. That's probably good enough. Can I put a lot of doors in here without breaking isolation? That seems reasonable. It's 100% isolation. Foundation's not perfect, but it's going to be what it is. And because of the poor foundation, we're having to put in more furniture and maintenance and stuff. That's not too bad. We'll roll with that. Yeah, that'll work 40 people. We're gonna wheel that down. We've got 20 odd jobbers, so we'll put 10 people in there for the moment. We're just overbuilding because we can. And then when we want to expand these industries, for example, we can expand them by just putting more people in them and not have to send more people, or not have to build more. Need 3 more furniture to complete the building, and we got that reasonably quickly. This is making 4.8 right now, and we can double the production on that pretty easily. Missing workers. Yeah, we got a building that can take 40 workers and should really only be taking 10 right now. So, take the speed down to none. We'll set this down to 10, please. We've been told that this is... Oh, we can give it clay to work better. Which this might not be a bad map to do that. We enable clay, it's twice as effective. But in theory, this is going to provide 10 innovation. I read the tooltip, right? Yeah, target 10 innovation. We had 20, we spent 15 of it in proper barrel entertainment, so we'll have another 15 at least for when people get back on what we should do. Whether that be globbed in, which will need 8, or improving the fishing, or doing weapons, soldiering or something. I think with that, I think it is time once again to do another expansion. Bring another 40 people. Yep, nice. Calm game. Getting lots of fish in. And we got enough stored up. I think the happiness from stored food is actually 20 days. So we've actually arguably got too much stored up. But some of it, like the eggs, is going to go away over time. And it's going to be replaced with the much less storable for long-term storage fish. Okay, got housing for 20. Soon we'll have housing for 40. There we go. Again, let's open the panel here. Update the auto accept up to 160. The housing for that will authorize the arrival of the waiting. And we want to do more fisheries. Do you want to get out to those islands like we did on the last one? Let's say yes. And this island we'll probably get from the other side. Oh, this one also has coal in the ocean, so we might actually want to be expanding it out, sort of screwing up the fishing on one end of it for coal mining. I think that's coal mining. In the meantime, I'm going to do a bit of a fishing expansion to the left of the bridge here. Okay, 7 fishermen can fish there. That's enough auxiliaries for it. There we go. Road canal. Going through and figuring out what we have available to build. So we can build the lavatory. Probably build the bathroom at some point. Don't ask me where they've been going. They've been going somewhere for that need. Yep, turn the game speed down. I know this stuff with, like, torches. I'm trying to figure out where it is. Decorations. So we have torches. Our people do appreciate torches. While I'm thinking of it, I'll set some of those up. Okay. Oh yes, the lavatory. Let's set up a lavatory before I forget about it again. We were holding off on doing that because, you know, it requires furniture. And we didn't have any furniture when we were first contemplating it. Let's put it over here, next to the carpenters. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Let's set off like that. Whoops. That. Do like a wall of that. Okay. Sure. We'll make that the laboratory. It's going to require 2 people to maintain the laboratory's sanitariness, but that'll give people a better place to do their business. And again, we actually have enough furniture for that, so that shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Let's get some more fisheries going out over here. These islands. Because all these ones are connected, I might be able to get away with 1 fishery during the entire island. No, I won't be able to. A little bit of a gap there that's going to stop me. Because I won't be connected. Fair enough. It's annoying, but it's fair enough. Is that reducing the number of workers? No. So I don't need the interior here. The island, we can potentially put something else there. No, potentially put a graveyard there. Fishery dual purpose. Too close to the storage there for the storage to fit in that hole. Okay, that works. And then again, I think we're outside of the range of the janitor. So we may want another janitor. I'm not going to worry about it too much, because we may want it closer to over here as we're going around the corner of the lake river thing. Yeah, at some point the fishing is actually going to be better out over on this deeper area, where we do a little bit more per coastline stretch. target's plus 10. We're floating at about plus 8 for whatever reason. So they're not working at perfect efficiency. Oh, they're approaching 9. Yeah, I think we're still effectively food positive. From a consumption standpoint. Losing more to decay than anything right now, which is why the daily amount's going down. A little bit tempted to harvest the... Okay, let's designate it for harvest. The vegetables there. And we might do a little bit of vegetable farming. Some sort of logic to getting a pasture going. So that we can get in some vegetables and then make sure it doesn't completely disappear off into the void. Although I think that respawns every year. Yeah. Then let's pop in farms, vegetable farm. So that's in theory, this over here is in theory the best. We've got some pretty decent over here. I think, well, that's why I've been holding it free to sort of put a farm here. Moving about 3 farmers. And I think we're going to get enough vegetables in. We got too many in, so we'll go ahead and put a few more crates worth of storage. And we may even be thinking about the next storage yard. Although we've gathered... I think we've gathered all the harvest from that forage space. The magic of having 32 odd jobbers, right? So the soil's not super great, the moisture's not super great, we're not really great farmers, although our people do like vegetables, so the workers working here, in theory, appear to be productive enough, if I'm reading this right, that they should feed themselves. So, not super important to have those vegetables, but that'll provide some source of vegetables on a reliable cycle. Then in theory I can use to build more vegetable gardens if we need more vegetables in the future. Thinking. And then, yeah, let's go ahead. I'm gonna add more people to the laboratory. I'm gonna up to 20 people in the laboratory. Okay, let's not look too closely at the laboratory. We don't need to be hearing those sounds. Yeah, we should be able to check the catchment radius of the janitors. So the janitors cover that area, and then it falls off here. So we may be wanting to put another one in as we get over in this area. Keep going that way. I think we have furniture, so it may make sense to get the market, I think it was. Market requires some furniture to build. Also requires some stone to build. And then I think I should probably build a bigger hearth. Well, the early stuff we built probably wants to get built in the bigger form. Okay, let's disassemble you. And then we will put over where you were the much bigger one. Full-size one. Let's not be placed in a room. Okay. Oh, I've got a torch there as well. Delete the torch. How do I do that? Good question. Left shift. Again, I haven't necessarily played this a lot, so sometimes I'm going to make mistakes. And I have an easy way to clear them up, apparently. Here's the dismantle. There we go. Now, I should be able to put my hearth there. Health. Yeah, I suppose if we keep doing that, I can just delete the well. The stage might be the only one that isn't going to fit there. Or the speakers maybe the only one that's going to fit there. Although, that's as big as the speaker gets. Okay. Get a max size well and a max size hearth. One of our throne room. Much more services available. People to get warm or to use the well. There's some cotton harvest over there if I want to do fiber. Although, we're not going to be able to harvest that in winter. So, wait at least a little bit for that. Looking at the time, it's probably a good place for me to put part break in. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be another part up tomorrow. By the time you're watching this one on YouTube, I will have probably already begun streaming this again. Yeah, that's probably my guess, is I'm probably going to have gone ahead and stream this again. That doesn't mean this is the end of the stream. I'm going to record one more part, but I'm going to do a little bit of overlapping with Shadow Empire in the schedule. So, the last two parts of the stream, so this part and the next part, will be after, we'll go live after this next stream occurs. So I know in the last one I put in saying, hey, give me recommendations on what to do in innovation, or what I should focus on in innovation. Feel free to continue doing that. Just recognize that that probably won't get responded to or dealt with for 4 streams. If you're watching this live, or watching this when it comes live on YouTube. I'm thinking I'm gonna go try to maybe do Globden. Either Globden or weapons. I'd actually do weapons. I do the improvised weapons so we can get an army going with spears. Yeah, probably do like makeshift weapons, unless someone gives me a suggestion on what they'd like to see instead. But probably do like makeshift weapons into like Globden for eggs, so our people get a greater variety of food stuff. Military right away. We're not going to do archers. We're probably just going to go spearmen. And then this requires a number of people in the army, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. Yeah, so we've got a couple things allocated. We've got the burial, we've got entertainment. But if you're watching this live on YouTube, feel free to keep suggesting what you think I should be doing. Just remember, I'm likely going to be, from this point on, I'm probably going to be about 4 parts ahead of when the bit goes live. So when this goes live, the next stream should have happened. The next stream should be 4 parts long. So there'll be probably about a 4-hour delay in gameplay before I know your comments and can act on them. But yeah, if you've got things you want to recommend that I do, recommend that I change, just realize they're going to be basically under advisement because they're going to be 4 hours out of date by the time I'm responding to them. If you're watching on Twitch, again, feel free to leave comments. Tell me what I should do, what I shouldn't do, what you think would be interesting. But this is where I'm going to take a short break to get up, stretch legs, sip some tea, and then we'll be back for one last recording. So until the next part, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.